Escalating his rhetoric against China over its handling of the coronavirus outbreak, now blaming the country's leader. President Xi, the president yesterday, tweeting, "Spokesman speaks stupidly on behalf of China, trying desperately to deflect the pain and carnage that their country spread throughout the world. Its disinformation and propaganda attack on the U.S. and Europe is a disgrace. It all comes from the top. They could have easily stopped the plague, but they didn't." Gordon Chang is an Asia analyst, a foreign affairs journalist as well, author of The Coming Collapse of China. Gordon, good morning.
Good morning, Ed.
Do you see a shift there in the president's, not just his rhetoric, but his approach to President Xi? He's tried to have him as almost an ally and partner in trade talks, but now he's not just going after the communist government in general. He seems to be going directly at the president of China.
Yeah, well, certainly. There has been this change in tone. You know, what he did in the past was what American presidents try to do, is to try to entice Chinese leaders into good behavior, even when we know that they're acting badly. What President Trump has done, starting from yesterday, was some really corrosive language. And I actually think this is a good thing because he's now becoming much more realistic about what the Chinese did. The Chinese leaders took steps that inevitably led to the spread of coronavirus beyond China's borders. And President Trump, in another tweet, called this, quote, mass worldwide killing. And he's mentioned incompetence. Actually, I think the president could have gone further and said this was either reckless or malicious. But in any way, we're seeing a new tone out of the White House, and that, I believe, is a move in the right direction.
Speaking of that tone, here's the president on Tuesday talking about the World Health Organization and China Watch.
I think they've done a very sad job in the last period of time. And again, the United States pays them $450 million a year. China pays them $38 million a year. And they're a puppet of China. They're China-centric, to put it nicer, but they're a puppet of China.
The rhetoric, the shift in tone, does it move it closer, though, to some action, some accountability for what China did to the world?
Well, I think so. You know, President Trump last month talked about defunding the WHO pending an investigation. And the president has also talked about establishing an alternative global health group. So both of those things, I think, are going to be significant. They're going to push the WHO perhaps in a better direction. And if they don't, it really means the U.S. is going to go in a different direction. You know, we got to remember that what China did was terrible, but the World Health Organization helped them. They helped them propagate the false notion that this disease was not human-to-human transmissible when the WHO knew that it was. And the WHO also helped China pressure countries into not accepting quarantines and travel restrictions when those were absolutely necessary to prevent the spread of the disease. So this disease is a lot worse outside of China because of the actions of the World Health Organization.
Gordon, this morning, the New York Times has a piece headline, "In China's crisis, Xi sees a crucible to strengthen his role." The communist government cracking down more on Hong Kong with some sweeping new laws. KT McFarland was on the program a short time ago saying she sees China trying to gain strength from all of this. But your book is called The Coming Collapse of China. So how do you square all that?
Well, I think, you know, I certainly call the failure of China before it has occurred, because I thought it would happen by the end of last decade, and obviously it didn't. But what we are seeing right now with his wolf warrior diplomacy really has been trying to spread Chinese influence because they see that the United States is stricken, and they see an historic opportunity to extend China's clout around the world. And it's doing so in very provocative ways. Actually, some of these are, in a way which are destabilizing the region with their boat bumping and other incidents in the South China and the East China Seas, where they now taking the position that Kazakhstan should be part of China. This is just incredible stuff, Ed. And, we've got to be concerned where Beijing is going, because I think that this shows stress inside the Chinese political system.
Some big issues ahead indeed. Gordon Chang, appreciate you keeping that on the radar. Thank you.